So our very first competitor is Jeff Dow. JD's pressure washing.
Good morning. Good morning to everybody else in the room. My name is Jeff Dow. I first want to say thank you to Veterans Florida for putting this together, as well as those at Action Zone, Rosie, and them who put me up for this. So I thank you guys. My name is Jeff Dow. I'm the founder of JD's Pressure Washing, where moms hire us to buy dad's time back. And this business originally got started kind of as a favor to a friend. We all have friends who live in different states who bought houses and then they moved somewhere else. Same scenario here. My friend lives up in Georgia now. He asked me to go to his house because his tenants, he didn't quite feel that they could clean the house the way that they needed to without destroying it. And he felt that I could. Not sure why, because he tested me on that, but it ended up being the start to a potential business. So that's the story of how it got started. Why did I stay in it? Well, I realized it was very simple. Did you know the clock's not started? I realized it was very simple. It's not easy work, but it's simple to do. It's also easy to mess something up. But as long as you know the right pressure and the right chemicals, it's not hard. It was a very low investment as well. Initially, it was $3,500, and I was up and running, which fortunately for me, that reduced the risk overall. Now my risk is mitigated because insurance. I'm able to leverage insurance. Should I mess something up, they'll take care of it for me. Very low overhead, as you'll see in the future slides, as well as high profit margin. And there's business everywhere. We live in Florida. Those of you who live here in Tampa, we get at least one nooner thunderstorm a day and sometimes two. So everything that's currently clean in about 6 months will be moldy and dirty again and will need more work. So while there's a lot of pressure washers in the area, there's a ton of business potential, and you'll see that as well. All right, so what I'd actually like to start with is this first picture down here at the bottom right. I know I'm in the room with a bunch of veterans, which means I know we've all been to medical at one point or another and got that bottle of 800 milligram ibuprofen. I'm pretty sure a lot of us, those of you who have ever gone and pressure washed your own home before, that's how your day looks and probably your next week after you get done. Because you're going to end up using a machine similar to what you see here on the left. That is a Ryobi basic. You're going to find it at Home Depot or Lowe's. The problem with that, while it may match the same pressure per square inch that my machine will, it's not going to put down near as much water, which means it's going to take longer and you're going to be out there for a longer time. The guy up in the top right, that's the look on your face when I start talking about all the different chemicals that you're going to need to remove the mold, to remove the efflorescence, to remove all the different things in and around your house without taking off the coating that's on whatever that material is. So with all those things said, the number one thing that I know most people, and I've already heard it in here today, time. It's going to take a business owner, or it's going to take a homeowner time. Precious time that most likely dad is going to be out cleaning for an entire weekend when he could be out with his family doing stuff that matters to them. That's where all of us really want to be. When you have the time and money, you want to go live your life. You don't want to be staying home, cleaning your entire house all the time, and ending up in medical to go get yourself some ibuprofen. So hire us to do it for you. We have the chemical knowledge. We know what types of chemicals to use on what different types of substrates. We also know all the different types of organic material and what works best to remove it efficiently. I also have an industrial strength equipment that's second to none when it comes to a Ryobi. I can get the same job that'll take 2 days for the average Ryobi to do. I can knock it out in about 3 hours, and that's just by myself. And lastly, we take on the physical labor, so no recovery time for you. These are just a few pictures, just some before and afters I wanted to show. The coolest thing, that first picture over there on the far left, the driveway at the top, that was my first driveway. I was walking through my neighborhood trying to figure out how do I even get business. And I saw a sign sitting in the lawn, and it had a phone number on it. So I called it, and I said, hey, I know curb appeal is a really big deal. I said, I just started a pressure washing company, and I'm offering right now for $100 or for $97, the first 10 people who jump on this, I'll clean your house for you. And what's cool is that house was up for sale for about 3 months, and it sold within 2 weeks of getting that driveway clean. And I can't say that it was the pressure washing that did it for sure, but it definitely helped. So here's the traction side. I got my business started in August. Like I said, I went door knocking, my least favorite thing ever to do. And I just started to figure out what worked. I tapped into my Facebook, and over time, I was able to clean 7 houses, 18 driveways. I also do paver sealing, so there's 5 in there. I included it because that was a big part of almost breaking $11,000 in my first few months in business. I bought all my equipment. My pressure washers paid off. My trailers paid off. I was able to get 2 different pumps for sealing, t-shirts, and pay for my website. Now here's what's cool. I said there's a lot of competition. There's a ton of pressure washers in the area, but we don't see each other as competition. In fact, I recently just gave a job that I had to somebody else because I knew it was outside of my strength. There's 547,000 homeowners here in Hillsborough County. Of those, 110,000 make more than $100,000 a year. Now that matters because that's expendable income, and those are people most likely to not want to clean their own driveway, clean their own home. They want to go out on the boat. They want to go out and spend time with their family. And the numbers on there, the second one, 240 to 480, I got that incorrect. It's actually 20 to 40. That's supposed to be for the entire year. So 20 to 40 homes at $500 on average would yield about $10,000 to $20,000 a month in my business. The bottom portion that you see down there is just kind of another, you'll see in a couple slides, I talk about marketing. I want to reach 16,000 people through a couple different ways. It'll cost $6,000, and I just put a simple example there. If I were to reach 16,000 homes and just got 2% of those, at the very my minimum rate of $175, I could pull in $56,000. So 6,000 investment, return $56,000. Now this is just an example of 2 of my products, and I try to standardize it. Every house is different, every quote is different, but I try to do something that was meaningful. If I were to do a home, average home, $350 is what I would charge. There's only $20 in materials, and it would take me about 3 hours to do it, paying myself $20 an hour. That would be a $270 profit. For the driveway, $175, that's my minimum. If I'm doing the 2 together, I would probably only charge $150 for the drive. But solo, my minimum is $175, $10 in materials, $20 for an hour to get it done, $120 in profit. That's what made me really excited about this business when I first got started. So what's next? Well, within a year, I want to be making $120,000 a year. And I know that I can get there by leveraging the marketing that you see in the next 2. 10,000 door hangers, reaching 10,000 different homes, but also 6,000 for EDDM, every door direct mail, so I can get there even faster with a professional card that makes it in their mailbox, and I don't have to worry about no soliciting signs. I also want to leverage marketing through social media and hire on my own videography team so that I can kick it up a notch. I'm comfortable in front of a camera. I think I can have fun and tell a funny story that's memorable that makes people want to reach out. I also want to buy myself a truck. You'll see what I'm currently using in the next or second slide, and you'll love it. I'd like to get, by year 3, I'd like to double all that stuff. I'd like to double my income. I'd also like to get a second truck with what you see here. This is a skid that's installed in the back of a truck. Essentially, that's 2 soft washes and a pressure washer. That allows me to do a roof, low pressure, a house, low pressure, and then concrete, whether it's driveway or sidewalks. I could hit an entire house with 3 of us in about 3 hours and make $1,200 with that setup. And then within 5 years, my game plan is to start looking at, would it make sense to continue to buy new trucks? Or should I be looking at other businesses in my area who are contemplating, should I keep doing this or should I let this go and do something else because it's just not profitable? So I'm thinking about possibly acquiring those under mine, giving them leads and taking a profit. I don't know. That's 5 years from now, but it's something that I'm thinking about and wanting to expand. I told you, you're going to see what I'm driving now. I'm not kidding. That is my Miata. I do tow a 8x5 foot trailer. With that, I installed it myself. And it does, while it's good with marketing around town, I prefer to have a truck for a lot of obvious reasons. Right now, it's just me, but within 12 months, I would like to have 2 additional workers with me. And then within 2 to 3 years, I do want 2 trucks and having 6 of us as a team building this here in Tampa Bay. And with that, I have 45 seconds for questions. 5 minutes and 45.
So we don't, the mic's over there, so I'll speak up a little louder. So do you, in your business model, see yourself branching into the point of having annual contracts to ensure that your customer base isn't just a one-off customer base?
So I don't know about contracts specifically, but I do want to get to a point where I start to ask customers, would you like me to come back every 6 to 12 months? There are areas here in Hillsborough like Avila and a number of very affluent neighborhoods. I would love to get in there and be their person on a regular basis, mostly because I know that that's recession proof. Bless you.
So a couple of questions on my point. I think going back to what Jimmy was saying is like, is there a plan to just stay? Are you staying in residential or are you scaling to go into commercial?
I'm looking right now. Residential has been what's opened up for me. I'm open to commercial. I'm definitely open to going in the commercial route. There's a lot more profitability in there. I just haven't got my foot in the door. And I know one of the next steps I would have to do is upgrade my equipment from 4 gallons per minute up to an 8 gallon per minute tank or pump.
And then just a last question is, what is essentially your competitive advantage to other pressure washing businesses out there today?
That's a good question. So what separates me from other people is really trust. It's my connection with the customer. It's them getting to know that I'm going to show up on time. My guys are going to be there if it's, in the future. We're going to be professional. We're going to get the job done. And whether they're there or not, they can trust that we will take care of their home as if it's our own.
Can you talk a little bit about, you started with your profit margin, but as you begin to hire and then purchase additional trucks, it looks like that will negatively impact your profit margin going forward. How are you going to account for that in your pricing?
So all of the jobs that I have, once the truck is paid for, that part initially will be an expense. But as far as the workers, they're built into my profit margin. So when I put forward my price, there's enough of a profit margin to pay them their hourly, but also have profit on the back end. So every single job that goes in, I have 5 bank accounts. So that goes into the initial one, and then it separates it out. So they come out of operating expenses, but there is actually enough in there. And maybe I didn't explain that well enough.
Well, you did labor at $20 an hour.
Yes.
Is that the expectation going forward?
Yes. I prefer. That's what I would pay myself, and I intend on hiring somebody at a quality level to also pay them that same amount. And there is a ton of profit on top of that as well.
Two questions.
Yes, sir.
One, when you laid out your production model, and I believe you give yourself 3 hours per home to knock them out, I would like to know how many per day, and then how many actual days of production availability do you expect to have? Did you factor in inclement weather, things of that nature, in that model? And number 2 is the vehicle. How much for the vehicle? We price that out.
So for a truck, you're talking about? I would say 20 to 30,000. I don't need anything super nice, super new. I just need a truck that's capable.
So have you priced out what you showed us in the photo?
That I have not. No.
Okay.
I did put on the projection. I did put 20 to 30,000 as a range. It's fluid. It can change based on what I find, but that's about the range that I'm looking at. And as far as your first question, it does vary from house to house on how long it takes to clean it. If I'm doing a driveway and the house, I can actually do that in about 3.5 hours instead of that being 4, which it showed. Most of the time taken for a driveway is setting up and tearing down. So to get through, if I'm trying to do 240 in a year, my goal is to get 2 to 3 a day. Because I know that's what a lot of other pressure washers are doing at the moment is 2 to 3 whether it's a house, a roof, a driveway, just jobs lined up. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, more along the lines of I'm wondering how many actual days will be available on average. There will be some days you just can't go out there and get it, and are we factoring those in to our calculations? That's all.
No, that's fair. So my goal, if I have it my way, I'll go 5 days a week. But I know that's not realistic, and I know right now that's been my biggest issue is not having enough marketing to get to people. So I'll have a solid week. The most I've done in one day is 3 jobs. So I know that I'm capable of knocking out 3 jobs in a day. But the problem has been priming that pump and keeping enough so that every week is steady and not just a steady week, a slow week of nothing, and then steady week again.
I have a question. It might be very naive question, but does it depend on the season? So
It does. There's a lot more work in the cooler months. People would think in the summertime, but it's actually March, April, and May seem to be the biggest where people are coming out of the winter. They're wanting to get to their pool, and that's when the rise comes up for work. And then it stays steady through most of the year, and it drops right around November again.
do you think it will vary your this will vary with the season? So do you have any other plan, or is it like how you see the market like when you are doing this job? So with the season, it was going to vary, right?
What do you mean?
So like your business is going to be different in the different season, right?
Okay, so you're talking about busy seasons
Yeah.
and then slow seasons?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So my goal would be to live on the minimum. I was taught when I was in the military, live at an E3 even when you go beyond that. So my goal is to live far below my means so that I have enough to make it through that. Because I am a forward thinker. I want to make sure that my business can grow, and I always pay my business first.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Round of applause.